Have you ever wondered if someone, somewhere, has touched themselves to the thought of you? Not because they love you, not because they know you deeply, but because, for just a moment, you lived in their fantasy. A passing glance, a lingering smile, the way you laughed at something ordinary. And suddenly, you were unforgettable. Would that idea make you smile? Or would it send a chill down your spine? Would you feel desired or objectified? Because here's the truth most people never say out loud. You are more desirable than you think, more captivating than you realize, more unforgettable than you give yourself credit for. Someone has looked at you and imagined more. They saw the way you carry yourself, confident or shy, the way your voice lingers, the way your body moves when you're not paying attention, and they remembered. They used it, alone, in the dark, for pleasure. And you'll probably never know. So, how does that make you feel? Is there a flicker of power in knowing you were the center of someone's secret pleasure? Or is there a sting, like your privacy was stolen in silence? Do you feel flattered? Curious? Slightly thrilled? Deeply uncomfortable? Or maybe it awakens a part of you you've tucked away, the part that longs to be desired, even worshipped. This isn't just about sex. It's about validation, boundaries, identity, ego. It's about the unspoken hunger to be wanted and the uneasiness of being used. In this video, we're exploring what it really means to be desired without consent, mentally, emotionally, intimately, and what your reaction reveals about who you are. Because the answer to the question, what if someone masturbated to the thought of me, just might tell you more than you expected. Let's begin.
Let's be honest. Your brain, it's dirtier and more creative than you like to admit. You've sexualized someone for the way they held eye contact just a second too long. You've imagined things you'd never say out loud. You've turned a stranger's voice into a soundtrack for your fantasies. We all do it. It's not just biology. It's storytelling. Desire isn't just about what turns you on. It's about what makes you feel alive. It's power, longing, escape, a hit of dopamine wrapped in someone else's face. And here's the twist. That's exactly what someone might be doing with you. Not because you tried, not because you wanted it, but because you accidentally became a character in their private film. It could be the way you speak, low, certain, unbothered, or how you walk into a room like the air shifts around you. Maybe it's the way your shirt clings to your back, or how you laugh when you're tired. Something about you, something unintentional, hooked them. And now, you're their fantasy, their late-night ritual, their secret sin. Not for love, not for connection, but for pure, raw stimulation. Still with me? Here's where it gets wild. Your image in someone's mind isn't even you. It's a projection, a remix, a version molded by their own hunger. You're not a person in their mind. You're a symbol of power, of softness, of rebellion, of whatever they needed in that moment. And you didn't get to opt in. Now, ask yourself, if your face, your body, your vibe is being used in someone else's head, does it feel like flattery? Or does it feel like a theft? Because your brain does this too. You've replayed conversations. You've imagined touches that never happened. You've twisted eye contact into electricity and wondered, what if? That's not creepy. That's human. But the real tension? It starts when that fantasy includes someone real, who never knew they were in the frame. Suddenly, it's not just imagination. It's a silent power play. And when it's you on the receiving end, unknowingly eroticized, mentally stripped, silently claimed, something shifts. You either feel like a god, or like prey. And that's where it gets messy. Because even though fantasies are private, their impact isn't. So, what happens when your name, your body, your existence is the fuel for someone's release, and you had no idea? Let's talk about consent and the fantasies we never agreed to be part of.
Let's get real. You don't need someone's permission to imagine them naked. You don't need their consent to rewind that memory of them smiling, to twist it into something dirtier. Because thoughts are private, right? Right? But here's the uncomfortable question. If someone's masturbating to the thought of you, using your body, your face, your energy, and you didn't ask for it, didn't know about it, didn't get to say no, is that harmless? Or is that a quiet kind of trespass? Now pause. Think of someone you respect, your coworker, your gym trainer, your friend's partner. Now imagine they told you, yeah, I've gotten off thinking about you. Does your stomach flip? Do you feel seen or exposed, admired or violated? That's the paradox of mental consent. Because no line was technically crossed, no words spoken, no hands touched, and yet something about it feels like a boundary was shattered in silence. Here's where the psychology kicks in. Fantasies are internal, but they're not always innocent, especially when they turn real people into sexual objects without context, relationship, or consent. It's one thing to fantasize about a celebrity, someone who's built their brand around being watched, desired, devoured. But your barista? Your coworker? Your old classmate who posted a picture that made your breath catch? That's different. That's personal. And when you're the one being fantasized about, it can feel invasive. Like someone took your likeness and locked it in a room without asking, used you for pleasure, then left you with none of the control, no chance to say no, no say in the story, just used. And still, some of you might feel flattered, turned on, validated. Because let's be honest, there's a thrill in being the object of obsession. It makes you feel irresistible, desired in the most primal, unapologetic way. But even that high comes with questions. Is it only sexy because you don't know who it is? Would it still feel good if they were standing in front of you, eyes hungry, shame nowhere in sight? And would you ever tell someone you've done the same? See, this is where fantasy gets tangled with ethics. Because the moment we start asking, does imagining someone cross a line? We're really asking, where does the real world stop and the private mind begin? And more importantly, can desire exist without ownership? Most people will never tell you when they've fantasized about you, and maybe that's a blessing. But if they did, if someone you know came forward and said, "You're in my head when I'm alone," would that ruin everything? Or would it spark something you didn't know you craved? Consent is about power, and fantasies, no matter how private, still play with it. So the next time someone tells you, "Relax, it's just a thought," ask yourself, are all thoughts harmless? Or are some more intimate than touch itself?
Think back to the first time someone looked at you in that way. You noticed it. That flicker, that pause, the unspoken attraction in their eyes. And if you're like most guys, it probably felt good. Because from early on, you were taught that being desired is something to be proud of. It meant you were doing something right, that you had presence, appeal, power. As a man, you've been conditioned to see attention, even sexual attention, as a badge of honor. And for the most part, it's reinforced by everything around you. Movies, locker rooms, social media. The more people notice you, the more valuable you're supposed to feel. But no one ever explained what to do when that attention goes silent, when it lives in someone's imagination, and you didn't ask to be part of it. That's when things start to get blurry. It's one thing to enjoy being looked at. But what about when someone turns you into their fantasy, without your consent? What about when you catch a vibe you didn't invite, and it lingers longer than it should? You're not supposed to talk about that. You were taught to take it as a compliment, to keep quiet, to be flattered, to never admit that sometimes it feels unsettling. Because for men, there's not a lot of room to say, "I don't like being sexualized like that," or "that kind of attention makes me feel exposed." We don't get that language handed to us, and yet it happens. You could be at the gym, focused on your own thing, and feel a pair of eyes that aren't just admiring, but consuming. Or someone sends you a message that crosses a line, but masks it as praise. It's subtle, but you feel it. And here's the truth most won't admit. Sometimes it does feel good. Sometimes it feeds something inside you. The part of you that wants to be craved. The part of you that equates desire with worth. But other times, it's invasive, disorienting. It makes you feel like your body isn't fully yours anymore. And that's the tension we're rarely allowed to talk about. You're not less of a man for feeling weird about being desired without your permission. You're not soft for wanting respect and mutuality, even when it comes to attraction. You're just human. And for the first time, maybe you're realizing you get to define what kind of desire feels good to you and what kind doesn't. Coming up, we'll look at how women were raised to feel something very different. Because the way men and women experience this isn't just personal, it's cultural. And that difference shapes everything.
Let's be honest, you're still thinking about it. That moment. When you find out someone was doing things to themselves while thinking about you. You didn't ask for it, you didn't expect it, and yet, here you are. Your brain's stuck in that weird afterglow of secondhand arousal and quiet discomfort. Your ego just got fed something it didn't know it craved. But your gut is pacing. And you're wondering, why am I even reacting like this? Is it because it felt wrong? Or because it felt good and you're not sure you're supposed to like that? Here's the thing nobody tells you. Your reaction says more about your wiring than the fantasy itself. Because this isn't just about sex. It's about identity, control, validation. The part of you that wants to be worshipped, and the part of you that's terrified of being reduced. If you felt flattered, maybe you've been starved of real attention. Maybe being craved in silence hits a part of you that needed to feel irresistible again. If you felt disturbed, maybe you've been sexualized before. Too early, too often, without consent. Maybe this felt like a replay of something you never processed. And if you felt both, you're not broken. You're just human. Because desire is messy. It isn't polite. It doesn't ask for permission before it imagines you in positions you've never agreed to. And now you're stuck with a mental image of someone real, closing their eyes and picturing you. The curve of your jaw, the way your shirt fits, the sound of your voice when you're tired and not trying. And the part that messes with your head, you kinda wonder, what exactly did they imagine? How far did it go? How often? And yeah, it's a little dirty, a little flattering, a little violating. But mostly, it's revealing. Because what you feel in that moment, it's not about them. It's about you. It's about your comfort with power, your tolerance for attention, your hidden need to be wanted, not as a whole person, but as a fantasy. And whether you hate it, love it, or secretly enjoy being torn between the two, you've just learned something about yourself you didn't know before. Next, we're going deeper. Because some fantasies stay fantasies, but others start to creep into obsession. And that's when things turn darker. Let's go there. So now you know. Not about them, about you. This entire time, you thought we were talking about someone else. Some stranger in a room with your image in their head. But the truth is, this was always about your reflection. Because the moment your thoughts flinched, or lit up, or drifted a little too far, you saw something. And maybe you didn't expect to. Maybe it thrilled you. Maybe it unsettled you. Maybe you caught a glimpse of a darker part of your mind. The part you keep clean in daylight, but that lingers after midnight. Desire lives there. So does control. So does shame. But here's the secret no one says out loud. That part of you, it's not broken. It's honest. Because if you've ever wanted to be wanted without permission, if you've ever imagined someone without ever planning to tell them, if you've ever wondered what it feels like to be craved in secret, then you already understand, more than you admit. Your mind is a mirror, but it doesn't just reflect light, it reflects the shadows too. And sometimes, those are the most honest parts of all. So leave with the question, not the answer. Would you be flattered or disturbed? Or would you quietly enjoy both?